This is Jeff Raw again from Leica in Houston. This is going to be video number 2 of 3 on how to interface a AT&T Nighthawk Wi-Fi device to a CS15. We're just going to go over some basic settings, just how to Bluetooth the GS14, because we just formatted the system. And so we've got to reconnect the GS14, set up the ASCII import-export, configure some survey screens, and then we'll do a quick overview of the Workstyle to be used by the CS15.
Okay, we reformatted the system. Now what we're going to do is, if everything's set up from scratch, we're going to set a Workstyle up, and we're going to do Workstyles, one for IMAX, one for NEAR. And the first thing I'm going to do is hit Instrument, Connections, GS Connection Wizard, and this is a GS14, so hit F1 next, Bluetooth, then you hit Search, and it'll pick this serial number, spin, and link up to the sensor. So before I do the Workstyle, I want to make sure I'm interfaced to my GPS unit. And then another quick thing, I want to make sure my settings are correct. So hit number 2 jobs, export data, export ASCII. And what we'll do is we'll hit the configure button, F2, and just make sure we have point number, northern, eastern, elevation, code, and attributes if you want. If you format the system RAM, will default to eastern and northern. So we're going to make sure that's good. We'll escape back out, and the same thing with import. So we hit import ASCII. We want to make sure that template's set up. So once again, hit F2 configure, point ID, Easton's 3, Northern's 2, Heights 4, Codes 5. There's the example there. It'll hold all these settings in the Workstyle. I would also go through and make sure everything's set up. So if you hit go to work and then go to stakeout, what we do is we come in here and hit function config and make sure I put like a survey screen prefix of 1000, and then visual and audio I'll default to north. So make sure that's okay. And then the same thing under survey plus, if you do measure to reference line, I would come in and hit function config, use stations, and under the info screen, I would customize what I want to see on the info screen. So I use line name, line offset, distance along line, cut fill, station in, point ID, antenna height, and code. So just set that up, and then each Workstyle will pick those settings up. So how to create a Workstyle, we'll hit for user, 2 Workstyle, and right now I've got one called 2 NEAR. So if you just had a default one, you can edit or just hit new. I'm going to hit edit right now, and we'll go through the settings, but you'd hit new, and I'm going to have one called 1.IMAX for network correction and 2.NEAR for single baseline. So I hit next, and there's the name. So I can create a copy down here if you had the default, or if you had one that you had that you liked, just create a copy and rename it something that makes sense, like I did up there. Hit next. So you check GPS, GLONASS. This one has Galileo. Advanced, I do a 14-degree cutoff angle automatic. Hit OK. Use the GS14 pole. There's our height. I do automatically stop, automatically store, check quality, and I set the position. And then my parameters F3. I'm doing 2 seconds down here for RTK points, but you can set that for what you want. I don't want to do static. I'll turn it on when I need it. GPS points will default to GPS 1, so I just hit new, typed into 1, says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can set the rest of these templates up. Code and attributes, we'll just check that box to list them, default values. Line work would be your line work commands. You can set up there if you wanted to. Page 1, we'll hit F2 configure. I put antenna height, time at point code. I also put my antenna height above the code. And code description, so you can come down here and click on each one and pick and set up in the order you want. Then put elevation, north, and eastern. Okay. If I go to page 2, hit configure, I can put quality, code, attributes, but you can customize these screens for what you want to see. Here's our hotkeys. So the first set of hotkeys, F7 got code inverse, data view and edit. F12 is F1 to take a shot. You can do line work commands in here if you wanted to. Under GPS function favorites, this is really neat. If you hit the function star key, I can say data export, import, quick grid, determine coordinate system, measured line, and then down here I put user regional settings and hotkeys, and that way the function star key, these are functions you can access really fast. I don't want a prompt, so I'll leave those blank. And do US feet. There's our station format. My slope I'll see in percentage. Angle, north azimuth. You want to go to Barron, you can do Barron if you wanted to. Time, we'll do 12 hours, month, day, year. Coordinates, we'll change that to northern eastern. Language, we'll set to English US. And other will be Fahrenheit, inches, miles per hour. And then we'll hit OK. Do you want these prompts? So right now we're just doing GPS, but if you use this for a total station, you can set it for the total station as well, and set up to, if you want to check the level and enter temperature and pressure. We'll use a touch screen, update every half second, and then that stores that work style. So now the work style is set up. Later on we're going to configure the network corrections. So right now, if I hit 4.2, I'll have two work styles, and that's how I can switch from one to the other. So I can come in here and just use the red arrow key and toggle between my one IMAX network correction, two NEAR, and they're all configured. So my survey screens, my import data, and my settings are all good. And what we'll do is we'll build off these work styles to use the hotspot and then the login for SmartNet. But that's the first step, is to create your work style. Okay?